Mario from Temple of Geek. I was saying, so Funko Fusion blends many iconic franchises. What were your biggest challenges in balancing these different worlds and tones while maintaining a cohesive gameplay?
So, I guess the challenge with all the IPs in Funko Fusion is because they are so broad. You know, everything from, I guess, an Invincible or a Five Nights at Freddy's or a Chucky through to, you know, Jurassic World and He-Man, and they're all different visuals, they're all different age ratings, they're all like different genres. It was trying to unify them so they did feel cohesive, so they did feel like part of a whole, if that makes sense. So you're trying to do both things. You're trying to do like the authenticity of like, this feels like Shaun of the Dead, this feels like Hot Fuzz, but then also this feels like one unit of a game. And I think that, like, it took us a while, but it comes down to the visual style. It comes down to the Funko aesthetic that we put in there. So it still feels unique to each IP, but it still feels you're part of a Funko world. And then obviously that sort of like loose narrative that like binds it together with Freddy Funko and Eddie Funko, just holds it in place. But yeah, it was a challenge, especially with 20, I've forgotten how many there are now, 25 IP now, because we've added some since launch, so yeah, lots of IP.
But that could also be quite the strength, right? Because you can lean into some of those genres. You can lean into a little bit of horror with Five Nights at Freddy. You can lean into action, adventure, and so many other things with each IP, so that no matter who you are, you're gonna find a world that you're gonna really, really love.
Yeah, and that I guess when we were first sketching out, like 3 years ago, sketching out that sort of franchise list, it was as like this broad fishing net to like catch people and bring them in. It's really refreshing. Like today, I was speaking to a couple of people down at the Funko booth that have bought the game and played the game, who were saying that like He-Man wasn't their thing. They were out, different genre, sort of different sort of generation, and therefore like a genre of cartoons they never watched. But since playing Funko Fusion, they've gone back and watched those 1983 Filmation like shows. And I guess that's the magic. That's the magic of Funko Fusion. You'll come for one IP, you'll come for Scott Pilgrim or something like that, and then you'll go away loving Umbrella Academy or one of the different franchises. So, yeah, as long as we're authentic to the IPs with tongue-in-cheek humor and everything else, but like as long as we do a great version of the thing or whichever IP it is, people will love it. And then if they find something new to love, because everyone's got space for something new, then that's great.
Going off that, were there any particularly surprising and interesting interactions between characters of different franchises and emerging in development?
That's always a strange one, because obviously when we're making the game, you're always looking at like the actors that play those characters in those TV shows or movies, and like, or so there's always like some weird crossovers that you'll get, or there'll be like this franchise playing with this franchise. I think the most obvious one we had is you've got Hot Fuzz and you've got Shaun of the Dead, and obviously it's the same cast pretty much, and so there's some nice interactions there, and there's a couple of like hidden achievements and things that we tied into those. But I think we only found these interactions as we were making the game, because you sort of like head on into like making like the Scott Pilgrim content or the Umbrella Academy content, and then you start going, oh, actually we can be playing with bringing Chucky into this franchise, or like we did with Battlestar Galactica. There's a great shot of Knight Rider, this kit, and you've got the vum 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 at the front of the car, but the Cylons do the same. So like the Cylons are watching Knight Rider in one of the cinematics, and it's just like a nice funny moment that emerges when you're sort of mashing and gelling franchises together. So that's, it's fun.
And how exciting is it to be able to really have an unlimited almost supply of IPs? I mean, you guys are going to be having Bob Ross coming soon, and then The Office, out of all things. I can't imagine how fun that's going to be, and how many more people you're going to bring in just with that IP.
Yeah, so, and I think this is the magic, I guess, of Funko more than anything else. They have access to the relationships for a lot of these partners, and so from our standpoint, it's like, if there's something we want to bring into the game, then at least we can have a conversation and we can sort of like, we can test the waters. Like Bob Ross for me was on my original like requirements list when Jason and I were talking about the game. It's like I needed 3 things. I needed He-Man, I needed Colonel Sanders from KFC, and I needed Bob Ross, right? Because as a Funko fan, like there's 3 of my favorite things, and so like this is like the finishing part of that trilogy. But yeah, you know, it's exciting, you know, to be able to bring different IPs, and you know, again, it's one of those things. Like we had a great conversation with KFC. They allowed us to put the Chef Colonel in and Mecha Colonel, and like people just know Funko Fusion is fun. So if we can add other stuff, we'll keep doing it. You know, we've got some hidden surprises. Obviously, you know, today's panel is a great reveal for some, but there are others in the pipeline that we're like lining up just to keep people excited, I guess. I think, you know, there is no limit to what we can add apart from legal and licensing.
So, can you tease potential future Funko franchises?
So other than what we're revealing and releasing today, probably not. Because that's like, yeah, that's quite a lot in itself in terms of like, you know, Monkey King, Bob Ross. Yeah, the Invincible stuff is cool. To be able to like play in that arena. Yeah, The Office is a cool one. We can't really talk about that, but in terms of the content, because we're still going through it. But that will be exciting. That's really cool. And then we've got a couple of hidden secrets and surprises that go, I guess, through to the end of the year, through holiday. But yeah, I can't talk about those ones. Mainly because we haven't done the paperwork on them. So, you know, you're making the stuff, you're having fun, you're engaging with licensing partners and everything else. There's always a little bit of legal paperwork that has to be done. So until that's signed, I can't say anything. Because then, you know, because if it doesn't get signed, then people hold me to it.
Just give me the Muppets and Shrek, and we'll be all right.
That would be great.
That would be great. Yeah, maybe you should start a some sort of campaign. Yeah, I would sign it. I would sign your petition.
Could there be something like that potentially in the future, or are you guys just kind of gauging maybe what's popular in the market to get maybe fan input on what character they want to see next?
Yeah, like we've always said on our journey as 1010 Games, like we want to hear from like people that play the game. We want to hear from Funko fans about like what do they like about the game, what do they want to see us like adjust or change in the game, and what do they want to see us add to the game. You know, obviously, you know, there are points where you'll go through your sort of like Rolodex of IPs that you love and like, and then, you know, someone will throw something out there and you're like, yeah, that's just we're never gonna get that. Like, but you just, like, we don't know until we have those conversations. You know, if it's something that we can bring to life and entertain people with, and you know, we can get people to agree to it, then great, we'll do it. So yeah, just people need to just hit us up, find us online, and then send us crazy messages.
And of course, play the game.
Yeah.
Oh, more importantly, play the game. Yeah, absolutely. But like, I think that's one of the great things is sort of now that like the Bob Ross stuff is revealed. There'll be like a bundle, so on digitally there'll be like we're calling it a happy little bundle, which is the game and Bob Ross available at a discount, and so hopefully it'll bring more people in. Again, it's about casting that net, getting people in, playing the game, loving the game, and then next week we start rolling out multiplayer, so that's when you can use these crazy characters like in 4-player online sort of like PvE. And those lineups are going to be bizarre. You know, the Colonel with Bob Ross, with He-Man, with like, I don't know, Owen from like Jurassic World. They'll be good.
Going off that, I was going to say your decision to focus on cooperative gameplay. How does that enhance the Funko Fusion experience?
So the co-op play just allows almost like a different play style. So when you play it on your own, you'll go through and you're doing various puzzles and killing the bad guys and figuring stuff out. When you're playing in co-op, everything goes a bit crazy because you know what it's like when you're playing with 4 players. You'll get people that will behave themselves and they will kind of play it sensibly. And then there's people like me who will just go and get every gadget they can mold and like every weird and wacky weapon, and will just cause carnage. And so you get that emergent gameplay of like, sometimes, like when we're playing it in the office, I'm just there like setting up like all these turrets and everything else, and because I know where the enemies are going to spawn, and so it's almost like beating the system. And then there's other times, because we have friendly fire switched on, where I'll kind of go up high and I'm just like pinging people, and just like it actually just becomes like this real, I guess, playground of fun. And I think that is where the game, as we sort of evolve it a little bit more, there's more fun stuff we can do in that space, so that people can play the sort of main game. They'll love it. You can play that main game in multiplayer, all the different levels, but then we're also going to see what we can add where, I guess, the fun from Funko Fusion comes out. So yeah, it should be interesting.